What's going on, everyone? We had some technical difficulties, but we are here now live in front of the World Wide Web. Yeah, some people still call it that. As WrestlingRumors.net presents Wrestling Warm-Up, the Night of Champions 2014 edition. I am John Alba, and I'm joined today by three of the best in the world, if you want to call them that. I call them that. Let's start. Feed me more! What's going on, Alex Besong?
Very excited for this pay-per-view despite a terrible build, but let's go right to it.
That usually means good things.
Yeah, it does.
We're also joined by the Chris Walder. What's going on, Millhouse?
Don't act like you ever call me the best, John. All you do is call me that Canadian ascension-loving chump every chance you get. Let's not lie to the people here.
I don't use the word chump. There's some other words that I use that I won't mention here. Nonetheless, guys, this is the Night of Champions edition. Doug O'Mac, Doug McDonald, you know him well. He'll be joining us soon. In the meantime, as I mentioned, I am John Allen. I am your master of ceremonies for tonight. And you can check out our chat at WrestlingRumors.net. You got Ryback Lover 22 or whatever, Feed Me More 22 on in there. He'll be handling things in there for now. Let's get underway here, guys. Night of Champions. We were expecting to see Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins tonight. Not so much anymore. Roman Reigns, he's got a hernia. Had to get surgery on it yesterday. He's out for the next few weeks. This is the top story in wrestling right now, guys. Initial thoughts on it.
I mean, hernias are getting all the big guys, I guess. It's two big guys down with a hernia.
It's a silent killer.
Well, what are your thoughts about this this little hernia here, Besong? Why don't you talk about what it does for Roman Reigns?
I mean, well, I reported on this because it happened Saturday morning, afternoon. Basically, he woke up with abdominal pain yesterday, Saturday, the day before the pay-per-view. Talked to the medical staff about it, and they told him you should go to the hospital. Reportedly, he wasn't even in a condition to walk. He had to get this emergency procedure done. And he will be out at least 4 weeks. That's the best case, and possibly up to 3 months. So WWE is already lacking main event guys as it is. They get another big loss here, so they're really going to have to bring someone up or just do something to combat this injury with Reigns.
Chris Walder, what do you think?
Man, WWE keeps building these guys up, and then these out-of-the-blue injuries keep bringing them back down to earth. It's really bad. I mean, first we had Daniel Bryan. We spent a year building that guy up, and then next surgery took him out. And now Roman Reigns, the golden boy at WWE, the presumed main eventer of WrestleMania 31. This hernia could not come at a worse time because they're really trying to build momentum for the guy. Seth Rollins, we saw them wrestle on Monday Night Raw. I see people on Twitter complaining, man, we had an advertised Rollins versus Reigns match at Night of Champions, and now we're not going to get it. A, the guy's hurt, you can't help that, and B, you just saw that on Monday Night Raw for free. You didn't have to spend $9.99 for that junk, so don't worry about it. But at the same time, I feel bad for the guy. If he is out, the presumed length, 4 to 6 weeks, possibly even longer. It's a shot in the heart to WWE.
I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I honestly don't. This is what happens when you don't give the rest of the card the proper treatment and you just throw stuff at the wall and hope that it sticks. Right now, WWE has one established main eventer on the roster on the face side. One. Is that startling or what?
It's really bad.
I was watching the Hell in a Cell WWE countdown, and I've brought this up to you guys in the past too, in our chat. Hell in a Cell 2000, when you have a main event of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, The Undertaker, Kurt Angle, and Rikishi, at least 5 of those 6 guys could have been champion at any given moment. This is quite literally the exact opposite of that. There's no one who is a believable champion right now other than Brock Lesnar and John Cena. And we'll talk about John Cena and Brock Lesnar later on tonight, but Roman Reigns was supposed to be that guy. And now how badly are they missing Daniel Bryan? So let me ask you this. We keep hearing these rumors of NXT stars coming up. Do you think that this little panic move here could end up resulting in these NXT guys being thrown onto the main roster in a more permanent capacity?
Well, logically it should, just because, like you said, there's not really any big-name faces on the roster right now besides John Cena, and you can make an argument that John Cena is the biggest bad guy on the roster, too. So that kind of screws WWE up there. And we know, like, they've been teasing the next generation, these 5 guys, Hideo Itami, Kevin Steen, Fergal Devitt, Sami Zayn, and Adrian Neville. We've seen Neville and Zayn on TV on NXT. You know, I told you guys on the Wrestling Rumors chat last night, I had a big, bold prediction for Night of Champions. I'm going to say it right now. I think Seth Rollins ends up competing. You know, people are saying they're just going to cancel it. They're going to build up Rollins as like this top heel saying, I took out Roman Reigns. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to tease a match for Rollins, and it's going to end up being one of those NXT guys. I think it's a perfect way to get them on a WWE pay-per-view, make them feel important. You don't necessarily have to start a program between Rollins and that aforementioned star. You just have to get him in the broad spotlight, and I think tonight is a perfect chance to do that.
Cactus Jack joins us. Jack, we're talking about what happened with Roman Reigns and how WWE essentially has no one to go off on the face side right now. What the hell is happening?
Man, if you ask me, they've got to turn the volume up on Dean Ambrose. I mean, if Roman Reigns is out, you got to go with Ambrose. That's the only likely scenario here. I don't know if I can change my Brock Lesnar pick because that's the safe one. But for me, the end of this match tonight, the main event, has to be something crazy, and then we have to move forward if we don't have Roman Reigns, because you got to think the freaking creative is going crazy right now, trying to figure out what to do. It's a cluster. It's a big old fat cluster.
Besong?
Yeah, they're definitely in a precarious spot, but the one thing I hope they don't do is change main event plans just because of this injury.
I agree.
I think that's a overreaction just for one night. You have to end the pay-per-view big, but it doesn't change your whole scheme of things just because one guy gets hurt.
I'm worried that this makes them panic going forward with the next few pay-per-views too, though, and I think it's something that's going to resonate beyond tonight. I mean, look, would you guys disagree with me by suggesting that the next match between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, not counting tonight if they have a match, should be inside the cell?
No, it totally should.
I mean, I think
it's a culmination of everything.
It should absolutely be in the cell, and that allows you to move forward with Ambrose after that, or Rollins, whichever you choose to go. Oh man, if they screw up the main event tonight because of a panic with this, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I got a bad feeling about it.
They got to do something, man. You know, all logic points towards Brock Lesnar retaining the title. And you know what? Even if the show ends with him raising his hands, another victory over John Cena, I still don't think that's good enough. I think you have to have something like a catch-and cliffhanger that not only gets people into Raw, but into the next couple of months, because this is where things start really getting slow. If we thought things were slow before, this is where it goes into overdrive. So you need to have something big, and I don't know what it is, though.
We'll talk about the Night of Champions main event in a little bit, but keep in mind, it's not out of the ordinary to see a screwy finish with Night of Champions. If you recall, 2 years ago, Cena and Punk had the very screwy finish.
Yep.
Off the back suplex and the German suplex, rather, off the top rope, and it was just a very strange ending, and that led to the whole Brad Maddox thing, and regardless. Anywho, let's get through some of the card here to start. Let's start with Sheamus and Cesaro. Most of us in the Wrestling Rumors crew picked Cesaro to take the title here. I continuously pick Cesaro, even though he's proven me wrong every time I pick him. One of us had Sheamus, I believe.
Yes, they did.
So go ahead. Why don't you tell us why you got Sheamus?
Well, for one, Cesaro never wins on pay-per-views.
It's true.
And even if you put the U.S. title on him, that's a backwards move for him at least. I know he has no momentum to begin with, but if you put him on the title, it's going to be probably the same thing as his first run. And at the same time, Sheamus really isn't doing much with the title anyway, so that's why I could see it possibly change hands, but I don't think they should put the title on Cesaro, and I don't think it's going to happen.
I do.
All right, go ahead, Doug.
I think it's time. I think it's time for Cesaro. I mean, look at
It's time! I have to. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's one of those things where you're talking about star power being lacking. And they know there's a guy that can go in Cesaro. It's time to push him. It's time to give him some kind. I don't care if it's a U.S. title or not. It's something that gets his name back out there in some kind of championship material. And I think that all he needs is a little bit of a push, and he'll be right back where he was before WrestleMania 30.
Cesaro is someone who should have benefited from the WrestleMania push, as is, though, Doug. And we've seen nothing from it. Walder, what do you think?
Man, at the end of the year, we might be looking at that Andre the Giant Battle Royal as somewhat of a curse and a continued curse if that keeps going on with Cesaro, because he's meant basically nothing, ever since aligning with Paul Heyman, going on his own now, he's feuding with Sheamus. I have him winning the United States Championship only because he needs something to do. I think now is the time, especially like Doug said, you need to build stars, and I'm not saying the U.S. title is going to make or break Cesaro, but it's the start. But the only reservations I had, I originally picked Sheamus on our staff picks. I thought maybe Sheamus' next feud would be with Rusev, because I think the U.S. title would benefit a guy like Rusev who's pro-Russia and anti-America, but at the same time, there's other things you can do with him. I think Cesaro needs it more.
I'll tell you this, there was just a major shift, apparently, in the betting lines for Night of Champions over the few minutes or so, I guess, because smart money's coming in, I guess. And there's some interesting changes, and we'll hit on those as we go along. Let's go into the Intercontinental Championship match, which one of those had a major... The Miz now heavily favored to win the Intercontinental Championship. Guys, we pretty much are, or a lot of us at least, are sold here on Dolph Ziggler retaining the title when all's said and done. I don't think any of us picked the Miz. So let's talk about this. Who's winning this match, guys?
I think the only if they do put it back on Miz, then we got a cell match.
A cell match
for the title.
Really?
Something going. A Hell in a Cell. I mean, you got a back and forth. You got titles swapping back and forth. You got to have some kind of rubber match that actually means something to be final, and then you got to get Dolph Ziggler on somebody else.
A cell match for the Intercontinental Championship.
I mean, we've never seen that.
No, we haven't. We've never seen that. But you got to imagine if the WWE Championship is going to be defended next month at Hell in a Cell, that will be in the cell. And you figure they'll do one more in the cell because they usually do two. And we just advocated for that to be Ambrose Rollins.
I would love that more.
Right. So it's interesting.
That's why I'm saying I don't think The Miz is going to win tonight. Because you got to do something with him again for a rubber match.
So where does Ziggler go from there?
Well, the rumors say Bray Wyatt, who is nowhere to be seen tonight. Yeah. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I gave that prediction a few weeks ago that I think we see Wyatt tonight just taking out his next opponent. That's where we get him. Bray Wyatt would make sense. It would be weird that WWE just invested all that much in the Miz character and then just like, nah, nope, oh well. Walder.
Yeah, I mean, I just picked Dolph Ziggler just because they've been playing hot potato with the Intercontinental Championship for a long time now. They had the Battle Royal at Battleground, and then Ziggler won it from Miz at SummerSlam. I don't see the point of putting it right back on Miz so soon. Why not give Ziggler a little bit of a push and see if he can do something with a belt that's basically meant absolutely nothing for the last several years.
Amen.
But the only thing, if Miz wins, it's obviously going to have to do something like with the whole stunt double. I assume Mizdow is going to be there, and then R. Ziggler. Maybe something comes of that. But, yeah, I can't explain why Miz is favored in the betting odds. I just can't.
Doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you what I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see Sandow, like, the referee be blinded and just see the back of Sandow making the pin or something, and then Sandow gets the win for Miz. And then Sandow, there's a huge argument of who's the Intercontinental Champion, Sandow or The Miz.
That's the only way. That's the only way Miz wins, John.
And maybe that leads to a face turn for Sandow.
I'd take it.
He's been cryptic.
He has been cryptic.
Yeah, that could be it.
But it's all about the video game tomorrow night. Like, he's just being cryptic about the video game trailer that launches tomorrow.
Yeah, he was cryptic weeks ago.
Yep.
Because he got mad at all the dirt sheets for saying, he posted cryptic tweets.
I think it'd be pretty enjoyable to see a storyline break off like that. And where they...
A little version of Twin Magic does the thing.
Where and Mizdow or Sandow, whatever you want to call him, has a legitimate case that he should be Intercontinental Champion.
Because he won.
I think it would be pretty entertaining, and I think you guys would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But we all have Ziggler retaining in this match. Don't forget, on WrestlingRumors.net, we got a chat there. You can sound off on it. During the live show, Doug McDonald will be live tweeting, so you can always reach out to the man down in South Carolina, see what he's got to say.
Right.
Let's continue to move forward here. So, the pre-show is going to give us our first version of the Peep Show in quite some time. We haven't seen that because Randy Orton's going to face off against Chris Jericho in what will be Chris Jericho's final match with WWE for the foreseeable future. What are we supposed to be gaining out of this, guys?
Very good question.
I think, look, it's going to be a waste of a segment unless the only thing that would make it even slightly memorable is if Randy Orton appears and takes out Jericho and they don't even do the match tonight. That's the only thing that would make sense because, you know, especially with the pre-show being an hour tonight, I figured that would be a great chance to do, you know, 2 matches. Bray Wyatt's not on the card. Why can't you do Bray Wyatt versus Big Show on the pre-show? That's a downgrade, but you can. You could do Alex.
You already got Reigns and Rollins not having their match. You're going to take away Jericho and Randy Orton too?
No, I still. I said before you came in, I think Rollins is still going to have a match, but I think they're just going to book him against somebody else. But and then you know they have the Adam Rose thing. You can do that. Bo Dallas and Jack Swagger. So I don't get why they're doing a segment. They must have something in store.
Maybe we get an NXT match on the pre-show.
I wish.
I don't know. Just you never know.
I'll bold predict that Chris Jericho's back by Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
it's not bold.
He alluded.
Yeah,
I am bold.
It's not bold.
He alluded that he's not going to be gone as long as people think he's going to be. But I'll tell you what,
Thanks, kid.
I'll tell you what. I think if Chris Jericho returns, it's time for him to turn on that heel meter a little bit, and let's do away with the happy poppy little baby face and let's. Silence falls across the room. Anywho, well, we'll continue.
I didn't hear what you said, dude.
Yeah, we
had a cutout. Okay. Well, I was saying, I think if Chris Jericho returns, it's going to be time to see some heel Jericho upon his return.
Yeah, I'm down with that, man. He needs something.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the face turn was organic. It happened with Dolph Ziggler last year, but I think it's going to be time for when Jericho comes back.
Can we say like unanimously that this is probably one of his like worst? He's literally done nothing. The Bray Wyatt thing was unmemorable, and now he's facing Orton in his last match.
Well, it was rushed. I mean, he wasn't even supposed to come back. That was a last-minute thing that he got thrown back into the mix here.
But Jericho versus Wyatt should have been a lot bigger than it was, and I think it was just a failed experiment. Didn't work on the roster.
He handpicked it too.
I don't think it's necessarily their fault either.
No,
the way
I
that was
don't
booked.
either.
Well, the matches. I mean, the steel cage match was the best match, and that was on Raw.
Fantastic.
But pay-per-view matches were terrific.
I thought the SummerSlam match was 10
Yeah,
times better than
I
Battleground.
agree. SummerSlam match was good.
But that's because the Battleground one was a disaster.
Well, it just happened so quickly. There just wasn't a whole lot going on there.
I'm telling you, Jericho wasn't ready. I mean, you can look; he's thicker than he was last year because he just wasn't back into ring, like ready for ring shape. And it's just they asked him to come back because they needed another star because Batista was leaving, and that's what we got.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think his ring presence was
Just
all
the
that
first
bad
month.
after
Just the first
Battleground.
month.
Yeah.
Just the
After-
first month he was rusty, but Jericho, it doesn't take long.
And he by far got the most wins he's ever had out of his short-term runs here.
Yeah. RVD won like one.
Yeah. I think Jericho, his record was like 11-3 or something on television. So he actually, for what it's worth, and it's not worth anything. Well, we all pretty much have Randy Orton here, guys, and we all do have Randy Orton, including our guests Nick Bazzelli and Gethin Coolbaugh. So I guess the question at that point just becomes, where does Orton go from here? No Reigns to mess around with. Is this when he starts getting angry at the Authority, and maybe this is where we find another challenger for Lesnar, maybe, or for Rollins, or I don't know.
Now that's the logical next step. Is he complains to Triple H? He complains to Triple H a little bit more about wanting that title shot, and then we get maybe face Orton. I don't know.
Yeah, and we've never had
there's not a lot in
those.
the cards. There's not a lot of players in the main event right now.
You know who they could really use back that could actually feud with Orton? Batista. We've heard his name a lot. He was supposed to return like SummerSlam around there. He's still not here.
But wouldn't there be more money in Batista or Orton versus Lesnar rather than doing another Batista-Orton feud?
Yeah, you could build one of those two up though if you're gonna do like Lesnar show or Lesnar Cena again.
Yeah, do a one-off.
You could have a #1 contender program between Batista and Randy Orton.
Right. Have a one-off at Hell in a Cell and then send the next one to Survivor Series. That gets us a #1 contender for Survivor Series at least.
We haven't seen a #1 contender program in years.
Because they don't care. It's not about that anymore. It's not about being hungry for the title.
No, it's really not. It really isn't. I don't know. Why don't you tell us in the chat? I know some of us here are monitoring the chat. Tell us in the chat. Who do you guys think should go with Orton after this Jericho stuff? I mean, is he going to go against Kane? There really isn't a lot of options. And let's talk about that, guys. What is Kane's involvement tonight?
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Kane gets involved some way, shape, or form. Well, the whole plan was for Kane to get involved with Reigns and Rollins. So I don't know what they're going to do with him now if they use him at all. If he comes out, you got to think it's got to be maybe in whatever match Rollins does have. Maybe it is in Randy Orton's match, and that's where we get Kane Orton going forward.
At least there's some things that are up in the air here that we're not entirely sure about that they're going to have a chance to surprise us with.
But guys, I want to hear your thought. I mean, you got to think that the Authority has to stand strong at least through Survivor Series, so we get a Team Authority versus Team Ambrose or somebody.
Well,
right?
if we got to see if Roman Reigns is going to even be ready by Survivor Series.
It might not be Roman Reigns. It may be Ambrose.
No, but you'd figure. I mean, storyline-wise, Reigns fits perfectly into the equation. It's man, they just.
That's why I'm saying they have to change the plans, and at least until November when we get to Survivor Series, they got to change those plans and at least give Dean Ambrose what Roman Reigns had going, because I mean all we had for Ambrose was a return match against Rollins.
Can you imagine in some cosmic universe here where Roman Reigns has this huge push planned, he goes down, WWE has to panic and put Ambrose in his spot, and Ambrose picks up so much organic fanfare that there go the plans for Reigns to be the top guy, and Ambrose becomes a guy. It could happen too. That's the
it very well could happen.
Ambrose versus Lesnar at WrestleMania 31.
Who knows?
It won't be Lesnar.
No, it wouldn't be Lesnar.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Lesnar.
Look, you know what? They put Punk with Lesnar. And
yeah, but there was a little like the Heyman factor.
Oh, look, I'm not saying it would make sense. I'm just saying body-wise, similar bodies.
What do you guys think about these Austin rumors?
That'll be WrestleMania 32. It won't be
when
this
we
year.
get Dean Ambrose versus Austin at WrestleMania 31, and the world explodes.
If Austin returns, he's doing it at Cowboy Stadium. He ain't doing it in San Francisco.
I agree completely, and I'll be there, and it'll be ridiculous. I'll lose my freaking mind.
Austin could fight anybody. That place is going to sell out because it's Austin's first match.
Hell yeah.
How long has it been since WrestleMania 19?
2003.
No,
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah. He'd be 52 main eventing WrestleMania, I think.
Dude's still in amazing shape. Like,
how old was Hogan when he faced The Rock?
I think he was late 40s. I don't think he was in his 50s, was he?
He was
turned
born
what?
in 53.
Maybe he had just turned 50. Maybe he had just turned 50, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
He just turned what, 62 on TV?
Something like that.
61 or 62, yeah.
So yeah, he would have been in 50.
Okay.
It'd be interesting. Something to think about. Just something to think about. So we eliminate Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns from the equation. We'll get back to what we think is going to happen with Seth Rollins in a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about this Tag Team Championship match. Now, the betting odds are heavily favoring Stardust and Goldust, which means the Usos are going to win. So, so, Doug, you're doing the Stardust there.
They can't see that. Don't acknowledge it. That's just for you guys.
No, I just pulled it up. You're on air, man. You're on. It's like that old Nickelodeon show. You're on, man. But you're one of three here, or four rather, when we count Nick Bazzelli, who picked the Usos. Tell us why.
Because it's the Usos, and I've bet against the Usos for at least 6 pay-per-views, and they have not lost yet. I know at some point they're going to lose, but I'm not going to not pick them this time because I'm tired of not picking the Usos, and that's the only reason that I picked the Usos. The Stardust and Goldust may win the titles tonight, and I'm going to get the prediction wrong just because I'm sick and tired of picking the wrong people. And I don't care because you got one face tag team right now. Because the Los Matadores, Los Wastadores don't mean anything. So you got one face tag team, and you're going to have them lose the titles and then chase 9 different heel tag teams?
I'll tell you what I think.
What other heel tag teams?
That's an exaggeration. It's called a hyperbole. Your little boy Ryback is part of a heel tag team whenever he comes back.
Not anymore. Not when he comes back.
Stupid hernia surgery.
No, when he comes back.
When he comes back.
No, when he comes back to take Lesnar out.
Yep.
No,
He's coming back
he'll be
to
right
face
back
Seth
with
Rollins.
Ryback Lesnar.
Look, I can't wait to see Ryback on Pro Wrestling Syndicate in 2 years, so it's whatever.
The indie guy.
The shell shocker.
Oh,
Wait.
Walder, you got the Usos too.
do we even not need to ask why I'm picking the Usos? I mean, they're my money horse. They're the reason why I'm second in the standings.
No, the reason why you're second in the standings is because you counted an extra point for yourself for Paige for getting a disqualification win, even though she didn't get a disqualification win. She wouldn't be a pinfall. You added an extra point to yourself. Okay, that's
Won in
why.
2013.
The truth.
The man who does the piece can make up the rules as he goes along, John. That's what I say. But don't worry, in 2015 it'll be better. But yeah, the reason, the actual reason why the Usos are going to win tonight is because if you put it on Goldust and Stardust, they're simply going to be transitional champions because there is literally no one who can challenge them unless you keep doing Stardust Goldust versus the Usos for the next 4 months. I stand by my prediction, which I said several months ago. I think the Ascension are going to be the ones that take the titles off the Usos, and it's going to mean even more because they're building the Usos as like this insanely dominant team who can't lose to anybody. They went through the Wyatt family. They're going to go through Stardust and Goldust tonight. They went through the New Age Outlaws. The Ascension are the ones who take the titles, not the Dust Brothers.
And how freaking fast did Jay recover from a knee injury?
It's a miracle.
I think, and I have Stardust and Goldust here because I think we're going to get a hot potato with the tag titles between them. And I think it ends up back on the Usos, and that's when the Ascension feud happens. That's how I see it playing out. Because the Ascension still have at least 4 more weeks of NXT television feuding
Means
with,
nothing.
with Hideo Itami going on. And
Means nothing.
I disagree with you because I think it would be pointless of them to be in a prolonged program on NXT and at the same time feuding for the titles on WWE television. I think
Seth Rollins was the NXT champion when he was in the Shield, and he came back and he just dropped it.
And they dropped
Same
the
with Big
title
E.
relatively quickly after.
But, right, and people weren't really paying attention to NXT then either.
Right, NXT wasn't widely available. NXT was only available in Florida and Hulu at that point.
Bray Wyatt was still talking about shrimp boats.
Right.
But then again, if you keep them on NXT and on the main roster, you build up a team that's going to be relatively new to a majority of the audience.
I don't disagree with you with them being the ones to be a quality feud for the Usos. I think we get a hot potato here. Get Goldust and Stardust the titles to keep them relevant a little bit. They'll put it back on the Usos, and that's when the feud happens with the Ascension. Besong, what do you think?
Yeah, I have basically the same thing John laid out. I think the Ascension will, in time, take the titles off, but they're not going to do it here in the next month or two. I think you have to have Stardust and Goldust win the titles to at least keep them relevant, get this feud going. If you just have the Usos win and then Stardust and Goldust have another match, I don't like that very much. I think the Usos need to chase them for just one pay-per-view, 1 or 2 pay-per-views. Then you can have the Ascension debut and take the titles off of them.
I don't mind it. I would like to see it happen, but I damn sure I'm not picking anybody but the Usos right now.
And
Welcome to the dark side, Doug. It's beautiful. We have free food.
Where is it? I'm hungry.
With the ambiguity of Goldust and Stardust too, you set up the opportunity for you to even do a 3-way tag feud if you wanted to, which would just be freaking awesome if there was like a feud going on between 3 teams.
Well, what happened to the Wyatt family?
Yeah, who did they piss off?
They went 0-2 for tag team titles.
I'll tell you what happened.
They are just off
I'll tell you what happened. You want to know what happened? Vince McMahon was hanging around backstage, okay, and Luke Harper walked by him in his sweaty shirt. Probably could have used a little deodorant. And Vince McMahon said, "Ah, God, what's that smell?" Luke Harper's standing there.
That doesn't work.
No.
He's not a color and he's not a midget. I don't know if that's the truth.
Vomit?
Maybe he slept with Stephanie when she was 14.
Oh, we're off the air.
Did your wife just say, "Oh"?
Did she say something?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, we did.
Hi, John.
Hi, Beth. That's
Hi, Beth.
Beth McDonald, everyone listening in.
Chiming in, saying my name like a mom.
She's the Miss Elizabeth to the Macho
My
Man
macho
over
man.
here.
That's exactly right.
Uh,
And I slept with Stephanie at 14.
who's Hogan? Who's Hogan in that case?
Oh, God. What are we even doing?
Hey, Ed shot us a question on Twitter.
Go ahead, Ed.
Ed
What's
wants
Ed's
to know, with Roman being out, he wants to know, with Roman being out, who outside of Roman Reigns, who does Roman Reigns being out affect the most on the roster? And if I'm going to say it again, it's freaking Dean Ambrose, period.
Oh, yeah.
In a positive way, yeah, it affects him the most. Absolutely.
Right.
No,
Well, he didn't say negative. He said
Yeah.
it affect.
No. It in a positive way that, and in a negative way, it affects Seth Rollins. Though some of you may disagree with me on that, which we'll talk about in a second. So this segment was good enough to end Raw, apparently, but that wasn't really the case for a lot of people. Rusev and Mark Henry. Now, the interesting I see here in our predictions is that some of you, including our Frank Manzo and Alex Besong, have Rusev winning this via pinfall rather than submission.
Which is something we have not seen.
And I'll say, of all the Rusev feuds, this is the one that's going to be the most likely to have that happen.
I'm gonna be honest, when I sent in the picks, I completely forgot about that. However, I do maintain that he's gonna win by a pinfall, simply because if you look at the size of Mark Henry, he might not be an easy guy to get out. He may break out of that camel clutch.
They've teased it.
They teased it too. I mean, if there's ever a time for him to actually win by pinfall, now would be the time.
Well, by God, if Jack Swagger can break out of the camel clutch, then Mark Henry can.
Right.
They don't want you to remember that, though.
No, they don't. But I do, because I have more of a 6-week span of memory, or actually 3-week span of memory.
It's hilarious, damn it.
But the thing is, like, for me, it's like if you do pinfall, you're losing the opportunity. If you're going to continue to make, and this is all about where they go creative-wise. If they're going to put Rusev with John Cena later, which is a rumor, which I don't see that happening, but if that's the route they're going, we saw what happened with Bray Wyatt when he faced John Cena. He was main event for 3 pay-per-views, and now he's nothing. With Rusev, if they continue to build him into a monster, you have the opportunity to have Rusev make Mark Henry tap out. That's huge.
Yep.
That should have been the storyline for Cena Lesnar about getting someone to tap out, not Rusev.
Oh, yeah, you know what? It should have been.
Kurt Angle's TNA contract expires today, guys. Just saying. I don't think Kurt Angle has quite as much as a no-compete clause as
well, he can't wrestle until January.
Keep him around. That's what the doctors say.
I'll say this because we all agree that something surprising has to happen tonight, right? To get eyes back on Raw tomorrow.
Don't even say it's Angle.
I'm not going to say that it's Angle, but how much of a mark-out moment would it be if that Russian flag comes down and then you hear Angle's music hit? Come on.
Maybe Kurt Angle went to TNA's offices in Nashville today to say goodbye, and it just happens to be in the area.
Look, I'll give you this. I think Sting appears on WWE programming before Kurt Angle.
I would agree.
Possibly.
We might tell. Maybe that's the big thing tonight. We get Sting shows up at Night of Champions.
For what?
For nothing. It's just for the hell of it, Doug. He's teasing tomorrow night on Raw. What the hell? Let's throw Sting in there.
Let's clear that first. For everyone listening in, everyone watching, tomorrow's tease that everyone is talking about is the WWE 2K15 trailer.
Yes.
There's no getting around that. That is absolutely what it is. They're revealing the entire roster after Raw on the network. That's what this is about.
That's a replay.
No, it's a replay of what they've already done.
I thought they were also going to show the rest of the roster, no? That's
No,
what I
it's
read
just the
somewhere,
same
really.
thing.
I bet they add it. I bet they add it because they're going to show NXT in that Feel It trailer. That Feel It trailer is going to be like 3 minutes of gameplay, 3 minutes of all these different clips of people doing stuff in the ring, and NXT is going to be a part of it. Sting's going to be a part of it. Freaking Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to be in there. CM Punk, if they allow him to stay in the game. You're going to see all these people in this trailer, and that's what this tease is about. I mean, Hulk Hogan's talking about being jacked about it. I mean, that's what it's about. There's no other. But they may add those names to the roster reveal in some kind of format. You're not going to hear them announce their names, but you're going to see it probably on the screen.
Yeah. We're only going till 7 tonight because the pre-show is an hour long tonight on the WWE Network. You're watching Wrestling Rumors presents Wrestling Warm-Up here on WrestlingRumors.net. John Alba, Doug McDonald, Chris Walder, and Alex Besong. Here we got 2 more matches to go through, guys, if I'm not mistaken, if my math is correct. We will go into the Divas Championship between Paige, Nikki Bella, and AJ Lee. AJ Lee now the favorite to win this according to the betting lines. We are a little split on this one. I'll go through the picks here. Doug's got AJ via submission. Will has Paige via pinfall. I also should have mentioned Will has Rusev losing to Mark Henry. I think it's also worth noting that Will is tied for last place in the picks. But anywho,
tied with who?
You
with Ryback.
You with Ryback.
But I have Paige via pinfall. Frank has Nikki via pinfall.
Ugh.
Walder has Nikki via pinfall. Besong has AJ via pinfall. Omega has Paige via pinfall. Nick has Paige via pinfall, and Gethin has Nikki Bella via pinfall. So we're pretty much split all the way around here. I'm going to tell you why I don't think Nikki Bella wins. And it's because I think Brie, this is a triple threat, there's no disqualification. Brie's going to break up a pin, and that's going to lead to a one-off match between them two. That's why I don't know. Between Paige and AJ, it's a toss-up for me, and I'm just going with Paige.
Yep. That was a toss-up for me. I went with AJ, and I totally think Brie gets involved and takes Nikki out. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. If they're going to continue their feud, it has to be that way. Nikki cannot. If she wins the title tonight, man, then they have killed this great feud with AJ and Paige that they've been building, and that's just ridiculous to me.
And I think that's the reason why this is a triple threat match and not a fatal four-way, so that Brie can have that payoff.
Right.
And break up that pin, cost her sister the title, and then tomorrow night on Raw, Nikki will demand an apology because everyone's about apologies now. Everyone has to be sorry.
Be a star.
Everyone has to be sorry. We're sorry.
Be a star unless you're John Cena putting Paul Heyman in a headlock and bullying him all night.
And then Khali.
Yeah.
Maybe Khali.
Out
Maybe Khali's winning the title tonight. So Besong, go defend your pick.
Yeah, I have AJ Lee via pinfall, I believe. And I simply think where Brie does interfere in the match, I think her interference is definitely going to cost Nikki, but I think somehow they're going to have it where AJ can maybe sneak away with the pin because of it, and that way you can actually have these 4 divas go their separate ways, have AJ and Paige go in the Hell in the Cell with the title change there just to have that feud keep going instead of just Paige retaining in a triple threat match in which Nikki might just not even be involved in at the end.
Let me tell you, and I'll just throw these scenarios out. I don't think it's going to happen, but if there were ever 2 divas to have a Hell in a Cell match between, it would be those 2.
Paige, yeah.
Just saying. Walder, you got Nikki.
Well, just to go off what you just said, they can't do a Divas title, have to throw each other in the cell, and I doubt that's the image WWE wants, is women, with a chance of getting busted open in that way, because it could happen organically. But, yeah, I'm picking Nikki Bella because I'm an idiot, and that's what I do. But I'm going with the opposite logic. I think Brie Bella is actually going to interfere, but it's going to backfire on her, and it's going to result in Nikki Bella picking up the win and becoming Divas Champion. I think that's the reason why Nikki's in there in the first place, is because they want to put the title on her and add some sort of importance to this horrible Brie Bella versus Nikki Bella feud. I think the Divas title does that. I think AJ Lee versus Paige has gotten to the point where they don't need the belt. I think they can just feud without it. So
let me ask you guys this: do you guys think PWI names the Nikki Bella Brie Bella feud the worst feud of the year?
Easily.
Absolutely. Yeah. At this point,
it's got to be up there. It's got to be up there.
Who's worse?
Unless they go with like an important feud that backfired, I could make a case for Wyatt Jericho.
Yeah, but they're not.
They still had a great match with the
Bellas had 3 main event spots on Raw. That alone makes it the worst.
That's true.
Yeah,
they're the front runner right now.
The first half of the year was so good with feuds and programming that it's hard to say anything before Battleground would even be nominated.
I agree.
It really is. All right, we got 15 minutes, guys. It's time to talk about the main event. And again, you can watch Night of Champions on the WWE Network for $9.99, and you can tweet along with us. You can stay in our chat over there, whatever you want to do. Just stick with us here on WrestlingRumors.net. Main event time. Brock Lesnar. John Cena. We've seen a lot more Paul Heyman than we did the first time around. Guys, I'm going to go down the list here with your predictions, and let's talk, all right? So, Doug, Will, myself, Walder, Besong, Joe, and Nick have Brock Lesnar winning. Now, Will has Brock Lesnar via disqualification, and Nick has Brock Lesnar via submission, which would be the first time John Cena's tapped out in about 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, 2 of us here have John Cena winning, and then it promptly followed by a cash-in crowning the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion of Seth Rollins, that being Frank Manzo and Geth and Cool. Guys, I think we all agree that Brock Lesnar should win this match.
Yes.
How do you book
Logic
it, though?
says yes.
How do you book it is the question. Walder, get us started.
Well, you can't do what you did at SummerSlam, where Lesnar just tossed around Cena for 20 minutes and then he beat him with an F5. I think, especially the way they've been building it on Raw with Cena looking to redeem his performance and, get a little more physical, I think it's going to be a lot more back and forth this time. But, we talked about this at SummerSlam. If John Cena were to win, and we were saying this would be like the worst booking decision ever, because when you look at Lesnar's last 4 matches, he beat the longest reigning WWE champion in 25 years. He beat the world's largest athlete. He beat the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania, and then at SummerSlam he beats a 15-time world champion. Now, you still have that, but you can't blow that just to put the title back on Cena. And if you put it back on Cena, that smells of desperation, especially with the Reigns injury and the ratings problems and whatnot. That would just be Vince McMahon saying, I'm going to go back to my golden boy. I'm going to put it on the main event, the main guy for the last decade. But it just makes so much sense to keep it on Lesnar until WrestleMania that I'm not steering away from that.
A reminder, guys, if you have scenarios, questions, throw it in the chat. Someone's monitoring. One of you guys are in the chat, right? I hope.
Sure.
Someone's there. Great. B-Song's there. B-Song, talk to us, man. What's going on?
Well, let's wait for the chat. I'll go with my stuff real quick as we get some scenarios rolling in. Well, hopefully, I think, like Walter said, it should be a more back-and-forth match. If they do want to somehow get this to another match at Hell in a Cell, which I don't think they're going to, he should maybe win just with just 2 F5s. But if you actually want to put Cena down as someone that doesn't go along with Lesnar anymore, I'd have him win with those 3 F5s, build it up as Cena gave the best effort, couldn't win. But I do not see any scenario where Cena should win unless he turns heel, but that's not going to happen.
Unless he turns heel, B-Song says.
I have said this. I tweeted it during SummerSlam when Cena was getting his butt handed to him. Then we talked about it the next night on Wrestling Warm-Up before Raw. The only way that Cena wins this match is by some sort of dark side, by some sort of almost cheating is what you would say. And then, I would, if he does cheat to win or get some kind of heelish act, he's already the biggest heel in the company. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. The biggest thing for me, people talk about the fact that Dean Ambrose needs to come back with some fire. And we did have a question on Twitter. Someone asked, would they, or do you think they're going to book Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins in a surprise match tonight since Roman Reigns isn't going to be there? That could happen. I'm going to go ahead and say that could happen. I think it's more going to be, if we see Dean Ambrose appear earlier in the night with Seth Rollins, if Seth Rollins is doing an interview backstage about the fact that he got the win via forfeit by Roman Reigns, blah, 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 and Dean Ambrose attacks him there, we're probably not going to see what I'm about to throw out as the end of the night. But I'm going to say this. Brock Lesnar, if he gets beat by Cena any way, shape, or form, he's going to take Cena completely out. And that's where, Frank and one of our guest predictors were saying that's where the cash-in comes. But Dean Ambrose made a very blunt promise as soon as Seth Rollins won that Money in the Bank briefcase, and that is whenever he tries to cash in, he's going to stop him. So for me, you hold off. If the creative is for Cena to win the title, then you hold off Ambrose until the very last minute of the night. And John, we all talked about this yesterday in our chat. If Cena wins and they tease the cash in, Lesnar destroys Cena after, just in rage after losing via whatever, cheat or clean or whatever. Takes out Cena. Rollins thinks it's his night because he didn't even have to face Roman Reigns. He's riding his high horse. He comes out to take Cena out. It's about to go for a curb stomp. I would say that he doesn't even get the briefcase cashed in. But when he comes out and everybody thinks this is it, Seth Rollins is about to cash in his Money in the Bank, guess what? Dean Ambrose comes out of the freaking crowd and goes nuts on Seth Rollins out of left field. Biggest pop of the night if that happens, and we got interesting stuff going into Monday Night Raw. Yes, we have Cena as a 16-time champion at that point, and that's what a lot of people are going to be harping on online. Especially, he's going to be a bigger heel than he was before if he hits that 16 champ mark tonight. The thing is, Dean Ambrose coming out, if he comes out and takes out Rollins, Dean Ambrose is the biggest face going forward at that point. And I'm telling you this, and John, you brought it up. If Dean Ambrose takes out Rollins going crazy, blah, 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 and then takes out Cena, then Dean Ambrose is definitely the biggest face going.
Oh, man. Can you even imagine? He just takes out Rollins and then just bam, right to Cena. Oh, man. And
it's just because he wants. He's crazy. He's the limited fringe. He's just hitting anything that moves.
Man.
But then again, I'm afraid if they do that, it's just going to be overshadowed by the fact that Cena's 16-time champion. That's all we're going to talk about.
I disagree. I disagree because they haven't mentioned anything about John Cena becoming a 16-time champion, tying Ric Flair. They haven't even brought that prospect up. Of him tying Ric Flair.
They mentioned it once on Raw.
They mentioned that he'd physically be a 16-time champion.
Right. BBL did.
Nothing about him beating Flair, combining with Flair, whatever. So I don't think they're going to make as big as a deal as people think they're going to. What I'm going to say, though, and Doug, I want to clarify, Doug, you're saying there is no way Seth Rollins walks out as champion tonight, but John Cena could.
No, because if we don't see Dean Ambrose earlier in the night, Dean Ambrose is coming out when Seth Rollins walks out there to cash in his Money in the Bank, because I think that the payoff is you have Ambrose and Rollins in a cell, and that may carry over into TLC or something where they go for
with the briefcase on the line.
Briefcase, I don't know.
Yes. I agree with you, Doug. Give me your percentage here. Percentage that John Cena actually wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship tonight.
I didn't pick him, but I'd say it's 65%.
65%. Besong, what do you think percentage-wise?
I'd say it's 15.
15. Walder?
I really don't see it.
I'm going a third. 33% he wins it, which is a lot higher than it should be.
It is. I'll put it at 40%. I think 65 is a little high.
I'm just saying they got to do something to get eyes on Raw tomorrow night. They had a 1.8 rating last week.
They're hoping that Next Generation crap does it.
And that's exactly right.
That's too little, too late.
I don't know. I'm totally with you. I can't see. I'll tell you what I think if you want to get some eyes, and I'm pretty sure that this might be an idea on the table because of the audibles they're going to have to pull with Roman Reigns. Let's get the Authority involved with Brock Lesnar now.
Ed said that in the chat. He thinks that Triple H should come out and kind of just hand a sledgehammer to Brock Lesnar and have him cheat the win.
Let's have Triple H help Lesnar. Because then, for the first time, you have Cena feuding with the Authority.
But then
it's Team Cena versus Team Authority at Survivor Series.
But we've already kind of known that the Authority and Lesnar are in cahoots. Like, what? How would that be a big deal?
I have not seen Cena feud with the Authority yet. It's amazing that we haven't. In fact, the Authority was actually on Cena's side last year for a period of time, heading into Survivor Series.
Yep.
Well, they had some back and forth leading into the Fatal 4-Way.
They had some back and forth, but it was not a feud. Cena was not feuding with the Authority. He was just battling the odds to win the championship. Now, if Triple H costs Cena that title, has a reason to be pissed off at the Authority. And that, my friends, is how you get Seth Rollins into the picture with John Cena if you wanted to. Even though we've talked about Dean Ambrose, obviously, but as we go forward down the line, we keep hearing these reports of Rollins and Cena potentially having a feud too. That's how you get those two intertwined.
Still doesn't work.
More likely what's going to happen. I would say that's probably the most likely scenario that Lesnar keeps the title tonight is because of Authority interference.
What about Paul Heyman?
I don't know. I'm
Jazz
just saying.
says Paul Heyman may give him a chair.
Look,
cheat the win. I don't know about that.
I understand the whole logic behind a Cena Authority feud, but if anyone needs a feud with the Authority, it's Dean Ambrose. You get nothing from a Cena Authority because half the crowd hates Cena. Why the hell would they root for him? Odds are they would just chant for the heels.
I agree with you, but this is WWE logic we're talking about. And 3 weeks ago, in a tag team match to decide who was going to face Brock Lesnar at the daggum pay-per-view, Roman Reigns got the pin, and John Cena is staring in Triple H's face, saying, "I'll see Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions." Made no sense. Made zero sense.
That would be. I'm saying it would just be awful if they go that route.
Definitely
awful.
Definitely tease Cena versus the Authority that night.
Ambrose Authority, Cena Authority.
Someone requesting here on our Twitter, can't Ambrose let Rollins win the title, then go after him for the title?
That would be better. That would be better.
It would be better, but there's still too many other guys in the picture, a.k.a. Brock Lesnar and John Cena, so it wouldn't be that transparent.
Not necessarily.
And Randy Orton wants a title shot.
And Randy Orton, and right, it wouldn't be that transparent. Ed also says, by the way, Del Rio Batista was definitely the worst feud of the year, which has a chance, but I still think the Bellas is worse.
It lasted a month too. Like nothing.
Yeah, and
it's up there.
Yeah. Sure, they didn't have 3 main event segments on Raw.
No, they didn't. They didn't have a single main event segment on Raw, in fact.
No, they did not. They had a SmackDown segment. That was it.
They had a SmackDown segment and a terrible spear by Batista at Elimination Chamber.
With a split pant.
So that's any final thoughts on Night of Champions, guys? Anything you really want to see coming out of the show? Because the pre-show starts in 4 minutes. Go ahead, sound off, throw your Twitter plugs, whatever. Go ahead, Besong.
Class Mode ALB, yeah, go ahead, follow me there. Really, I just want to see one big moment. Whether it's, I don't want it to be like a main event thing that costs Lesnar the title, but maybe with this Reigns Rollins thing, just one big moment that they can feed off of.
Feed more off of?
Possibly.
No.
Possibly.
Walder.
Bigger.
At Walder Sports 20.
We can
You interrupted my plug.
We can rebuild him. We have the food to do it.
Yeah, you follow me on Twitter at Walder Sports 26. Thank you, Jennifer Lawrence. What I want tonight, I mean, we were almost comparing this to Payback, where the build was so horrible, but the matches were good, and we didn't poop on it afterwards. I think no matter how good the actual matches are, WWE needs something like big to happen tonight. This may be the most important pay-per-view they have all year, just because the company's kind of treading water at this point. And with the Reigns injury and Daniel Bryan still being out, and even some guys like Bad News Barrett who's still hurt. Bray Wyatt's kind of out of the picture. They need something to entice me again. And I feel like watching Raw for the last couple of months has been a chore, and that shouldn't be the case. When I'm sitting there on the WWE Network and I'm watching NXT, developmental, and I'm more excited about that, that's not a good sign. I need to be enthralled and I need to be captivated by Monday Night Raw again, and I think that starts tonight. And if it doesn't happen, man, oh man, they're going to be in trouble.
Beard.
Got to have a must-see moment. Have to have a big, oh my God moment that makes you watch Raw tomorrow night. And if they don't do that, they have dropped the ball completely. And then we know it's time to start writing letters and start telling Vince McMahon it's time to do whatever you have to do to not make 2015 turn into 1995. Because that's exactly what's happening right now. We are in 1994 with bullcrap characters like Adam Rose that have failed miserably. I loved Adam Rose when he came out. He has failed miserably. They're ruining Bray Wyatt. There's a bunch of bullcrap on TV on Monday nights that should never be on the program. It is boring. They have lost the ability to stay on the pulse of what their fan base wants. If CM Punk had not been a little biatch and left, we never would have got Daniel Bryan in the first place. And that's one of those things that the fans forced upon WWE to do. And I think it's time for us to force some more things. And I'm telling you, it has to be somebody new, somebody up and coming. No one's going to be, the reason that people were starting to boo Roman Reigns is because he was attached to Cena. Cena has stink. Don't put somebody like Dean Ambrose with Cena. Don't put somebody like that with that kind of babyface material. We got to have something big tonight to make us tune into Raw tomorrow night. And a daggum WWE 2K15 trailer is not going to make a difference. It's got to be something on the pay-per-view tonight.
If Brock Lesnar ends the pay-per-view standing over John Cena, that is a failure in everyone's mind?
Oh, yes.
No.
Yes.
Logic-wise, it's the right move. As far as trying to get eyes on the program tomorrow, it's a failure. Something has to happen at the end of the night to make people tune in to Raw tomorrow.
I don't think it has to close.
Maybe and he makes Cena tap out. That might lead to something more, just because of the whole never give up thing. Cena would tap out, so that might be that might interest me.
Something like that would at least get people to tune in because they would want to see how bad the fans rape Cena for giving up. How John Cena would react to giving up.
I'll go with the authority, and the authority in John Cena. Maybe we get a distinct tease between Triple H and John Cena as is. That gets some eyes going. Anyway, you've watched Wrestling Warm-Up presented by WrestlingRumors.net on WrestlingRumors.net. We thank all of you guys for tweeting with us, for chatting with us. We're a bunch of loners when all said and done, and without you guys, we literally just talk to each other, and that's it. We don't have any friends. We don't do anything else. So we got some cool stuff coming out for you guys soon. You're going to see us tomorrow night on Wrestling Warm-Up as well, at 6:30 p.m. on WrestlingRumors.net. Doug's going to be handling the Master of Ceremonies once more for that. Thanks for giving me the chance, Doug. For those who enjoyed it, you can see Maria Kanellis right down over there, and hopefully that kept you guys interested. Go turn on the WWE Network. Go tweet with us at WrestleRumors. Doug O'Max got it. We'll see you guys next time.